What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday, talking veteran quarterback options for the Titans today after Sam and I talked about some potential trades for veteran skill players. And I'm going to call Myles Garrett a skill player. He's big skill. But we talked a lot about Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp yesterday on Tuesday. And today we're going to dive, Easton, into 5 different veteran quarterback options for the Titans if they decide to skip on Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward in the NFL draft, but maybe one of these 5 players could be an option, even if they do take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft. So we'll find out. There's a lot of nuance that's going to go in this conversation because how do the Titans acquire these quarterbacks? Only one of them is currently set to be a free agent. The other 4 are still under contract with their current teams. Some may be cut flat out. Some may need to be traded for, but we're going to have a big conversation about all of them. And then it is a Wednesday. So, Easton, we will get back to our sports trivia game, which it feels like we haven't done trivia in a long time because you guys are at the Senior Bowl last week and we didn't have time to do trivia or really any end of show topics as you guys were on the way to practice and in Mobile, Alabama. But welcome into the show, Easton. Hope your week is off to a good start. So let's get this thing off and rolling.
Yeah, good morning to you, Austin. Good morning to everybody in the comments. Week is off to a fine start. I was telling you yesterday, I think everybody in the world that is in my life is sick at the same time today, except for you and Sam.
Yeah, which is good because are you sick?
I feel myself starting to. I was avoiding it, and there was sickness all around Sam and I at the Senior Bowl, and I avoided it, got out of town clean, came home, and then my wife and daughter both have just a cold or like COVID or something. Nothing.
Oh, okay. Just sort of.
I mean, COVID these days is not that big a deal.
The funny like juxtaposition of those two things.
We're still trying to get over that a little bit. It feels worse than it is. But it's just annoying, sapping your energy, and I feel it coming on. But so far, so good, and I still have a voice, so we can still do the show.
Yeah,
and we need some likes on today's show, so help us out. Whether you are healthy, whether you are sick at home watching with us, like the show on Facebook, on YouTube, hit that thumbs up for us, and then jump in the comments like Andre, Lou Man, Titan Tonio, Brad, Sean, Bobby, Curtis, Jay, American Toff, NM Titan. A lot of familiar faces. Good morning to all of you guys, and let's get sorry, these some crazy comments are really distracting me here that we may address later. Let's get the show. Let's start the show.
Okay, we'll start the show. All right, welcome into A to Z Sports here on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. Actually, first of all, 5-star Google reviews. That goes a long way. We're learning more and more about how good the 5-star Google reviews are for our business because, who would have thunk that more Google 5-star reviews, better Google website traffic. Also now we have to thank our sponsors because they truly do make it happen for us and they help all of you guys. Wilson County Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. TDOT is out there trying to keep our state beautiful, doing a fantastic job at that at NobodyTrashesTennessee.com, and our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever, and Bart Durham is right there just a click away to help you out when you need them at BartDurham.com. So yes, hey, Lou Man, shout out to Lou Man who started the movement, who had his 1-star Google review is really what kicked things off.
It was a Barbara Streisand moment for the A to Z Google reviews. No one was paying attention to them until one little itty bitty bit of negative attention was paid, and then there's all this positive attention.
That is absolutely true. And then also apparently it's Vanessa's birthday in the chat, so happy birthday to Vanessa.
Happy birthday!
I think I've got a birthday present for Vanessa and a birthday present just for anybody who's currently watching the show. How about 50% off your first Factor meal box, Easton? I've had Factor. You've had Factor. Factor is pretty phenomenal when it comes to the meal kits they have right there on the market because Factor is balanced, fresh, good diet. If whatever you're looking for, whatever dietary restrictions or choices that you have, Factor's got something for you. And it's so easy. It is the easiest of the meal kits because they come ready to go in the fridge, and you literally do like you take the plastic off the top, you throw it in the oven for about 9 or 10 minutes, and bang, you're right there ready to go with a ton of delicious recipes. And they really are good because I've had Factor several times over the last year or so. So if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has these chef-made gourmet meals that make it easy. You can put them in the microwave for 2 minutes or the oven in 9 minutes. I prefer the oven. They've got you covered right there. And we're doing this deal for Vanessa's birthday for everybody out there. You can eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/ATOZ50 off and use code ATOZ50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code ATOZ50 off at factormeals.com/ATOZ50 off to get 50% off that plus free shipping on that first box. That code is right there on the screen. So happy birthday to Vanessa. So I think that's an appropriate birthday gift, right? Yeah. So
I do.
All right. So Easton, we talked all yesterday about Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp as veteran players who are on the trade market. Myles Garrett's choice was to be on the trade market. Cooper Kupp is there against his own will. He would rather be with the Rams. But there are quarterback options out there. And so we've talked so far throughout the offseason of Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, who's the top quarterback in the draft. Are they worth the number one overall pick? Do you trade back or do you take a Bill Carter number one, Travis Hunter, all these things? But what is your overall thoughts on the idea for the Titans to acquire one of these 5 veteran quarterbacks, or really any veteran quarterback, instead of going with a rookie starter in 2025, which is also year 2 of Brian Callahan's tenure?
Yeah, whether or not it's instead of or in addition to a rookie quarterback, I do think that there will be a startable caliber veteran, whatever you want to call that. I mean, somebody better than Mason Rudolph, for example, somebody that you could justify giving starts to without there having to be extenuating circumstances of an injury or a terrible play ahead of them. I think there will be one of those guys on this roster. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why maybe it's in either situation they choose to do so, because I do think in either situation, that is the ideal that this team wants to have based on the things that I have heard, that the conversations I have had. They want this on their football team next year. And I think that fans have, for fair reasons, pretty consistently since the end of the season, overestimated the likelihood that the Titans are going to come away from this draft with a quarterback, one of the top 2 quarterbacks, that is. I'm not saying that it's unlikely. I just think I think a lot of folks are just assuming number 1 overall pick, they're going to get one of the quarterbacks. And I just don't think that is a sure thing at all, man. We're going to talk about that, the dynamics of this draft, what they're wanting to do in terms of potentially trading the pick, the other options. It creates for a tricky situation they're currently working through as a staff. They're going to spend the next month, I think that they're really going to spend the next month really shopping that pick and seeing just what the market would be for it if they were to decide to go the trade route. And based on previous trades of this type, first overall picks, second overall picks that have been made in draft history, the next month or so, the next 4 weeks are the range in which it tends to happen. Week before, week of, week after combine. That area. And, the combine oftentimes is a forum for these backroom deals to be done with GMs in the back of bars at 1:30 in the morning in Indianapolis. And so,
the NFL spring break.
That's right. That's right. It is as advertised. I can say, having been there a couple of times myself. And so I think that they will see what the opportunities are for them out there, see if they can't get a team to fall in love with somebody that they feel they need to come up to the first overall pick to get. And then they go from there. And so all of that points to, hey, we need to be paying, I think, more attention than we are to the veteran options available or potentially available to the Titans, because there are many paths the Titans could take this year. And I think many of those paths lead to them needing to get one of these guys.
One of these 5. So that's interesting because I think it, like, obviously Will Levis is the only quarterback under contract currently with the Titans. Mason Rudolph was on a 1-year deal, so his contract is expiring. Will Levis is now at the Super Bowl doing Radio Row stuff, and I'm sure that's not awkward at all. But you got to figure that out. So whether you do or don't draft the quarterback number 1 overall, a veteran quarterback is a requirement to be added to the roster. I think it's just what level of veteran quarterback will they add? Because I think it's like, man, if they do draft the quarterback number 1 overall, when's the last time a number 1 overall quarterback hasn't started week 1?
Hasn't started week 1?
Yeah. because we're talking about like because the Titans have the number 1 overall pick. They could choose one of these 2 quarterbacks if they want. We do know that they need a veteran QB to go with that person. But if you're talking about one of the 5 guys on the screen that we'll get into more and more, when's the last time a number 1 overall quarterback pick has not started out of the gates?
Yeah, a fair question. I mean, Caleb Williams did, Bryce Young did, Trevor Lawrence did, Joe Burrow did, Kyler Murray did, Baker Mayfield did, Jared Goff.
Did Baker? Did Baker?
I thought so, but maybe not.
Jared Goff did not.
Okay.
So that would be the
maybe
fallback.
Okay.
Baker, I remember Baker was I think that was the same year the Browns were on Hard Knocks. Was Baker's rookie year.
Baker stats 2018.
Tyrod Taylor.
No, he started he technically started week 4. He played week 3, a good bit of week 3.
So Baker Mayfield in
Baker
2018's draft. And how many, 5 quarterbacks that went number 1 overall who did after? Is that
Kyler, Joe, Trevor, Bryce, Caleb? Yep.
Yeah. So 5 consecutive number 1 overall quarterbacks start week 1. Then Baker and then Jared Goff did not. But like Tyrod Taylor is less than all 5 of these guys on the screen. When Jared Goff was not the starter with the Rams, when Jeff Fisher was the head coach, I want to say it was Case Keenum. So it was also very much less than these 5 guys on the screen. So let's look at these 5 quarterbacks that we are going to talk about today for the Titans veteran options. This is just in the order that Sam decided to put them on the graphic. In no particular order, from left to right. Matt Stafford with the Rams, Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, Sam Darnold with the Vikings, Derek Carr with the Saints, and Kirk Cousins with the Falcons. Sam Darnold's the only one who's an unrestricted free agent. The other 4 are still under contract with their teams, would either have to be cut or traded for. So there's nuance to go into that. But Easton, let's go ahead and ask everybody to do this. Let's rank these 5. And I think it's important to rank these 5 quarterbacks, understanding what the Titans would have to either pay them or give up to acquire them. So you would have to trade potentially for. I think you'd have to trade for Stafford. I think I do not think
100% you do. Yes,
the Rams will not cut Matt Stafford. You will have to trade for Stafford. I think the Jets, the Saints, and the Falcons could cut Rodgers, Carr, and Cousins, but you might obviously they're going to try to trade them before they cut them, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I think Rodgers is the most likely to be cut, if not able to be traded. I don't necessarily know if the other 2 teams, Falcons and the Saints, would cut those guys if they didn't find a trade partner. I wouldn't be surprised if they get. I mean, they both are signaling they're fine to keep them around. So I don't know. We'll see. I think all 3 are trades except for maybe Rodgers. And if you want to sign Rodgers without having to trade for him, you're probably having to wait until after the draft, right? You're having to wait an uncomfortable amount of time to figure out your quarterback situation.
I mean, there could be a situation. Yeah, I mean, there could be the Jets pick 7th in the draft. There could be something draft day ish, draft week, right? That comes into place there. So we're going to rank these 5 quarterbacks from best to worst option for the Titans as a veteran quarterback option. We'll do that here momentarily, but do want to tell you guys about our friends at T-Dot. Be part of the solution to end littering across our great state of Tennessee by joining T-Dot's campaign of Nobody Trashes Tennessee. There's so many pieces of litter across our highways and our roadways in our state, and we can all jump in and help the efforts that T-Dot has out there, spending like $20 million a year trying to clean up litter. With Nobody Trashes Tennessee, we can change our bad habits to stop littering ourselves, pick up litter when we do see it on the sidewalk, on the street, wherever we might be rolling. And then also join the efforts with local cleanups. Get your kids involved as we get closer to spring. It's been kind of fall, spring, nice weather outside. So maybe you can go out there and look around for some different local cleanups to help your community as well. Right there at nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Hey, and while you're with us this morning, help us out. Do us a personal favor. Go to the A to Z Sports YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Just recently passed the 20,000 subscriber mark, which is a big deal. We are now eyeing the 30,000 subscriber mark. So help us out. Help us by getting to that number. You can help us by subscribing to get us to that number. Very easy, free. Helps you keep up with all of the stuff that we're doing, which we have a ton planned for the next 3 months or so here on the A to Z Sports YouTube channel that you do not want to miss. Some exciting interviews, some fun pre-produced content, of course, the morning shows, maybe some draft shows. I don't know. We're still planning things, but it's going to be exciting. So you'll want to be around.
Lots of plans. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Easton, I will send you to the chat to have you find the rankings of the 5 quarterbacks that we threw out there. Ranking the 5 quarterback options. I'll go ahead and put them up there on the chat, on the screen again. Ranking those 5 veteran quarterback options. What are you seeing from the chat 1 through 5?
All right. I am seeing from Ashley, Stafford, Rodgers, Darnold, Cousins, Carr. Let's see. This is going to be a lot of just throwing out names here. This is a lot of things to rank. Ramon thinks Cousins, Carr, Darnold, Rodgers, Stafford. Oh, that's in reverse order. I was about to lose my mind on Ramon. Okay. Who else is an interesting one here? Matt Stotler says Cousins is his favorite, then Rodgers, Stafford, Carr, Darnold is 5. Wow. Not a Darnold fan. I think Matt may have just tuned into the Darnold experience for just the last 2 games of last year and ignored the first couple. Steven says Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, 5th place. So Steven didn't watch a single Rams game the past 3 years, it seems. Yeah, I can keep reading these, but nobody really cares to hear everybody's order. Carr, Rodgers, Cousins, Darnold, Stafford from Donald. Austin, how would you rank these guys?
From just a follow-up question about the chat. From scanning the chat, which do you think is the most frequent top choice?
Rodgers. Or excuse me. No, Stafford.
Stafford? Okay.
Yes. Stafford is the most common number 1 I'm seeing.
And then we have some people bringing up Jameis Winston. Like, guys, Jameis Winston is by far a secondary option. Like, there are tiers to this, right? And I think
Jameis Winston will not be a Tennessee Titan. I'll say that. Jameis Winston will not be a Tennessee Titan. He's fun. He plenty for us to write about and entertaining for fans to watch when you're put him on a bad football team. But the number one thing that the Titans are sick and tired of and are going to do everything in their power to avoid next year is having 38 turnovers or whatever the heck it was. The league leading by far, not close. And what Jameis doesn't do is fix that at all. In fact, he directly leads to those. So
I mean, I literally said yesterday that the Titans would be better off trading for Myles Garrett, giving up that pick to the Browns, going back to 2, drafting Abdul Carter, and then just running the Wildcat formation with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, because you would lose less games by turning the ball over less.
Yeah.
So Jameis Winston is not.
I will clip this and run it when they sign Jameis. That's fine.
They're not going to.
You can clip it. It's going to sit on your camera roll forever, because I can say as a statement, practically a fact, Jameis Winston will not be a Titan. Maybe this year. Let me say this year. You never know. Never say never in the future.
With the current people that are making
as long as who's in charge is in charge, Jameis Winston will not be a Titan. So
okay. All right. So now you ask me, what is my opinion on the 5 quarterbacks?
Yes. And I love Jameis, for the record. I mean, Jameis is so fun to watch. I just don't want
to feel like Jameis Winston has become a caricature of Jameis Winston. I think he's leaned too far into the eating a W bit.
Couldn't disagree enough. He should lean as hard as he's leaning. It's awesome.
I mean, I don't even know. He's falling over. He's leaning so hard into that.
It's
So,
fine.
all right, I'm going to go in reverse order on this. The quarterback that I have the absolute least interest in is Kirk Cousins. I do not want Kirk Cousins here. I
Okay.
think that would be the most wet blanket, boring. Oh my God, why? Gross, disgusting, apathy. I'll come back next year, clean house again. Kirk Cousins would be the worst choice of these five. He is the one who got, I guess Derek Carr also did not finish the season playing for his team, but that was because of injury. Kirk Cousins just wasn't very good down the stretch, and Michael Penix Jr. proved to be more worthy of reps as the Falcons were like in the hunt. They had a chance to make the playoffs until the very end, and Kirk Cousins was not a part of those chances.
Mm-hmm.
So I have zero interest in Kirk Cousins. So he's my fifth place.
Okay.
And he's also really expensive. Like if you had to trade for Kirk Cousins and take on the contract,
We'll talk about that. Nobody trading for Kirk is taking on that contract. So
right. And so but I don't know how the Falcons, it would just be
the Falcons are going to have to eat it if they want to trade him,
Yeah.
or they'll have to cut him.
Or keep him. Now we get into the grouping of who's next. And I think I would go bless you. I would go Aaron Rodgers fourth on the list.
Okay.
I'm going to say Derek Carr third on the list, Sam Darnold second, and Matt Stafford first.
All right. So Stafford
Darnold,
is
my top.
Carr, Rodgers, Cousins.
Kirk. Yeah.
Is your five.
I would entertain the top four. The only one that I am absolutely not entertaining is Kirk Cousins.
Okay. My list is almost identical. So going in order from 1 to 5, the opposite of what you did, not reverse order. I am going with Stafford number 1, not close at all. When I saw Matt Stafford as somebody's fifth option, I lost it in the chat. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was. I think it was true, which, okay. Just watch the games, man. Stafford is by far not close to the best option on this list. Is he a long-term option? No, of course not. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the circumstances for this team, which are they need to win in a hurry for them to the people in charge to survive. And so Stafford would allow you to do that better than anybody else on this list easily. I think Darnold is a clear 2. I think Carr is a clear 3. And then 4, 5 is kind of a coin toss. I'm going to flip them. And the reason why I am more dismissive of Rodgers. I mean, listen, ultimately I'm splitting hairs here because I'm not interested in either of these guys, but I will put Cousins 4, Rodgers 5, because it came to light, I don't know, yesterday, day before, like you said, the Falcons were in the hunt and were a winning-ish above, one game above 500 consistently team until that 4-game losing streak where the wheels really fell off and they had to switch quarterbacks. And it came to light, I think it may have been Kirk at the Super Bowl media day or something, but he suffered an elbow and shoulder injury in the game that was the first of the 4 losses. And it wasn't really the same after that in terms of his arm. His arm fell apart. And so I'm actually willing, because yeah, you could tell, you definitely could tell. And it makes more sense to me in hindsight, having watched the season and seen what he looked like before they fell apart, after they fell apart. So, and I also think, while his contract is a big deal, again, the Falcons are going to have to eat it. Like there's no team just going to take on that contract. They're not going to, unless the Falcons want to send Kirk and some picks to convince a team to take on the contract, which, listen, the Titans have room. And if that's the area we're talking, then maybe we can have a conversation about that. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that, depending on what the compensation was. But Rodgers is my fifth because it's just, he flashed a little bit at the end of the year. He's 5 years older than Kirk. People forget this. They're both coming off the same injury, and I think it's reasonable to expect them both in the year.
Rodgers is 5 years older than Kirk.
Rodgers is 41. Kirk is 36.
Kirk Cousins feels way older than 36.
Well, because he's got that dad. He's always had that dad energy. So and
Yeah, he's
Rodgers
been
is like
36 for like 8 years.
And Rodgers' energy is like weirdly old guy in the back of the club who needs to go home and get a family. You know what I mean? They're very opposite energies. It's like one guy's still,
kids. Hey, fellow kids.
yeah, one guy's still like trying to be hip and cool and doing drugs, and he's 41 years old. The other one acts like a 41-year-old because he's been a dad of 3 kids for 5 years. So Rodgers, I just don't want to deal with, and I think
I get that, but like Aaron Rodgers was not terrible down the stretch. Where you look at Kirk Cousins
down the stretch, like the last 3 games, and not terrible. The
what
bar
was the
is
last 3 games
terrible.
Kirk Cousins was doing.
I understand that, but I think one was injured and one was not. And also, they're both coming off of a mobility injury where I'm going to bank on the one that's 5 years younger, maybe recovering a little bit better than the one that's not. And also, I know one of them is a serious all-ball businessman. The other one is you're getting the Aaron Rodgers experience. And is that how you want to sink your ship if you're Brian Callahan? You want to go down with the Aaron Rodgers experience?
I'm not in Brian Callahan's shoes right now. I am in my shoes right now. And so that, like, I have zero interest in Kirk Cousins. I have more interest in Aaron Rodgers than I do Kirk Cousins. But again, like, there's still like my cutoff is I don't want anything about Kirk Cousins here. I would entertain Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Because like it is a very short-term thing, right? Because I want to get to a comment that I thought was really interesting from Nathaniel.
I'd entertain it. I just entertain it last of these 5 guys.
Okay,
that's all. And he would be cheaper. That is a part of it. Is that he would be cheaper probably than Kirk.
So normally we save the super chats for the end, but I think this was a good one that kind of fits in the flow of the conversation. Genuine question: what's the appeal for a quarterback to come here if you're a veteran and there's a high chance the Titans still pick a quarterback first overall? So that's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that answer, and I'm curious to see where Easton takes it here in a second. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to have somebody you can turn to and trust, and that is the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin, Tennessee, right off of I-65 and Highway 96, next door to Williamson Medical Center. They've got all the experts, the resources, the equipment, the staff that supports you, and the system that gets you in and out and on with your life and not having to deal with that nagging injury forever. So check them out when you need them. I've used Bone and Joint Institute a few times over the last several years since they've been a partner with us. Online and book an appointment when you need them, boneandjointtn.org.
Hey, and before we keep going, everybody go to Google, search A to Z Sports, find the company entity at the top of the Google page, and then leave us a 5-star Google review. It's very helpful to us, as we have discovered thanks to Lou Man's nefarious actions in the 1-star realm. We need 5-star reviews on there, which many of you have left. It's very helpful to us if you want to be an official friend of the A to Z Sports family. Help us out with one of those 5-star reviews. That goes a super long way. And again, it's a way you can help for free, which is always the best way to help. So leave a 5-star review for us on Google.
All right. So Easton, I'll bring up Nathaniel's super chat again. Genuine question: what's the appeal for a quarterback to come here if you're a veteran and there's a high chance the Titans still pick a QB 1 overall? I will let you go ahead and take your swing at this one to answer. A really good question from Nathaniel, and worth the super chat there.
Yeah, it is a fair question. The reasons are, number one, as is always the number one reason, money. They have money to give you. So if the money is right, people are willing to overlook a lot of other things. Number two, it's a great opportunity to start in terms of first overall, second overall picking teams that are quarterback needy. Typically, that is more of a lock to be a young player that's going to be the starter than I think this year's situation is. Again, we can talk about this more if you'd like, but I don't think it. I think it is at best a 50-50 chance the Titans come away with one of these rookie quarterbacks. That's just how I feel about it. That's based on, what I have seen and heard and reading the tea leaves. And so I think that, and I also think that even if they do come away with one of these quarterbacks at the top of the draft, I also think there's both of these guys are sit candidates very firmly, whatever team they go to. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, they are candidates to sit for a little bit. And I think that is what is objectively, that is what's best for their development. I think that all 32 teams, every head coach, GM, quarterback coach that is in charge of these teams would agree these guys would be better off sitting. And a lot of them, like Brian Callahan would tell you, he's a play them early guy. His philosophy typically is play them earlier than you are super comfortable with, because it's what's best for their development, is kind of throw them out there and get the reps, because you cannot beat live reps. But there's a line in the sand there that, I don't think that they're tall enough to ride the ride in that regard. And so maybe they will start out of the gate because, extenuating circumstances lead to teams feeling like they have to, or the alternative option in terms of quarterbacks in your roster is just not tenable. Whatever it is, it leads to guys starting earlier than you would like for them to start, perhaps. But if they can at all prevent it, I think that whoever the veteran is that signs with this team has a very, very, very good shot to be the starter for at least some amount of time.
Yeah. I think you said money and then opportunity, because I think with the 5 quarterbacks we're talking about, what is their current situation, and are the Titans considered a better opportunity than their current situation?
Right.
The Vikings is really interesting because Sam Darnold was really, really good, right? Until bang, crash. And they lost 4 games all season, twice to the Rams and twice to the Lions. Them's the breaks, and you're out in the wild card round. They've got J.J. McCarthy, they don't really know much about because how early the injury happened with his knee. They have to make a decision on paying him, franchise tag him, trade him after that, or play him and sit JJ another year. That's interesting. Then you've got the other 4 that are under contract. Stafford's going to have to restructure something or take a pay cut or something if he wants to stay with the Rams. And Sean McVay talked about that at the end of the season of, hey, we address the quarterback position first, and we'll do that when the appropriate time comes. And then you've got Kirk Cousins, who lost his job late in the year. Derek Carr got hurt, lost his job. And the Saints are in kind of cap hell still. And then you have Aaron Rodgers. And I just think the new regime with the Jets just want to move on from Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Glenn doesn't strike me as an Aaron Rodgers guy.
There's only one room. There's only one Aaron in this organization.
Not enough room. There's not room in this town for 2 Aarons.
You can't have 2 Rons in the same running the same football team.
Can't do it.
Okay, Easton, here's a follow-up question.
Okay.
Which of these 5 quarterbacks is the best pair for a first overall draft pick rookie?
What do you mean by that? Because I think
if you draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward and they're there with Aaron Rodgers, do you trust that Aaron Rodgers is going to do a good job?
No.
So which of the 5?
I just mean I kind of think the list is the same list.
That's fine if you think that.
I would probably.
I disagree.
I might swap 2 of them. But other than
I'm swapping 2 of them too. I'm having Derek Carr leapfrog Sam Darnold.
Okay, yeah. So that's.
And I'm having Kirk Cousins leapfrog Aaron Rodgers.
Oh well, see, you have to swap 2. I only swap 1 because I am swapping. I am swapping Carr and Darnold for the same reason that you're swapping them in terms of a good fit. I also, we can talk about this in a minute, maybe as a follow-up, but who we think is most likely to be the guy, I think, is an interesting question. Because these guys, I do not think it is an equal likelihood that all of these guys are available. You know what I mean? I think some are more likely to become available than others. So,
okay. I think there's another caveat. The head coach has worked with 2 of these players already in his career. That would be Matt Stafford for 2 years when Brian Callahan was the Lions quarterback coach, and Derek Carr for 1 year when Callahan was the QB coach of the then Oakland Raiders. Is it still Oakland, or have they moved yet?
No, it had to have been Oakland. I think it was Oakland.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So there's that. So if the Titans were going to draft the quarterback at 1, Stafford, Derek Carr would be my top 2 options to go along with that first pick. Darnold, I'm not anti-Darnold. Obviously, Sam Darnold was in that situation with a top 10 quarterback this past year. Top 10 quarterback this past year. And the quarterback got hurt. So we don't really know what Sam Darnold could have done for J.J. McCarthy in that room if he was healthy. So, okay, what is your follow-up question as you fight through that yawn?
Yeah. The follow-up question is, who do we think is most likely to,
Okay.
if we're operating under the assumption that the Titans have one of these 5 guys on their roster, which isn't a guarantee. We think it's more likely than not. I think, is that fair to say? Maybe that's the question. Is it, what are the odds that one of these guys is on the team?
Follow-up questions.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do them
I
both.
think there's a follow-up question, and then a follow-up to that follow-up.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Okay, so here's what we're doing here.
Okay.
What's the percentage chance that the Titans sign one of these 5 guys?
Okay.
So it's like a Tiger Woods versus the field.
The field.
This is the field, right?
Right.
Like, what's the percentage chance the field is not Justin Fields, but the field is the Titans quarterback?
Fields amongst the field. Yeah.
But he's not in this conversation. So
No.
percentage
Oh,
chance?
no, that's not how this works. We're talking about these 5 versus the field.
I know.
These 5 aren't the field.
These 5. I'm calling these 5 the field.
That doesn't make sense. The field is the point of the field is everyone else.
I'm saying this. I'm grouping these 5 together. I just want people to understand.
But that's not what the field is.
That's what I'm calling the field in this situation.
Okay, so you're just redefining the word field.
Because So
Sure,
what
all right.
percentage chance do the Titans get one of these 5?
I think you're good. Okay. We're getting some people
Jody
in the
says
comments. If you
5%,
say the
these
field
guys
in the
aren't coming.
comments, I'm laying down the law here. If you say the field in the comments, I'm assuming you mean not these 5 guys, because again, that's what the field is.
I was being facetious when I was going through that. So don't
Okay.
take that
I just don't. I want to be able to properly interpret.
No,
the
it's what
responses here.
percentage chance will the Titans sign or acquire one of these 5 quarterbacks?
Okay, we're getting a lot of answers here, and they are all over the board.
Yes, 80% from John. Corey says 50. Get off that fence, Corey. You can go 41 or 49. You can go 51.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon says 0. Kevin says 90. Jeff says 60. Patrick says 35. Roger says 0. And then we've got another Jaron 90. You guys are literally like the most bipolar answers of one collective group.
All in or all out?
47%. Yeah, and 80%. 29%, 30%, 20, then a 75, 55% from Ant, 10% MB, Yuri with a 40, 38% Orlando, Jesse with 60, Darius with a 20%, Trey with 46% at this point. They haven't even interviewed Cam Ward yet, which is correct. They haven't met with Cam Ward. Matt comes in at 80, Rooney with a 65, IR with a 12, and Steven with a 35. Easton, what is your percentage?
Well, first of all, I was trying as you read those to deduce an average from the chat, and they're so all over the place. I have no idea.
The average is 50%.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is against the rules.
Yeah.
Because like for every 80%, I saw 20. For every 60%, I saw 35%. Like it's
the message
crazy.
I just got from the chat is we don't know, which is fair. I think the odds of one of these 5 quarterbacks being a Titan to start the season is 75%. Not necessarily the Titan starter, but being on the roster for the Titans. I think there's a 75% chance one of these guys, and I can break down the back of the napkin math a little bit on that. I currently think that there is a 50-50 shot that they take a quarterback at number 1 overall, and that's not riding the fence. That is just indicative of the fact that they don't know yet. They are still equally weighing their options. And I think given the landscape, again, there are 2 non-quarterbacks. If they stick at 1, there are 2 non-quarterbacks who are players that no team would really have a hard time pulling the trigger on at 1 overall. You can sleep good at night if you are drafting Abdul Carter or a generational talent in Travis Hunter, which I'm comfortable saying. He's not a generational player, but he's a generational talent because we don't see people that are capable of doing what he can do in terms of versatility and conditioning and durability. That part of what he does is a generational skill set. So you feel good about drafting those guys at 1. And whether or not they fall in love with one of these quarterbacks or not, even they in their jilted view, their love goggles for this quarterback that they fall in love with, are still going to recognize that those two are clearly safer options than the quarterback that they choose to take at 1. There's also the trade possibility. And so, as I jokingly laid out in our Senior Bowl episode, where I said, I think there are 5 things they can do. They'll draft Cam or Shedeur or Travis or Abdul, or they'll trade the pick. I really do think it's down to those 5 things. And I think 3 of them are not a quarterback. So maybe it's actually less than 50% chance, because I really think now there's a chance you trade. I mean, they could go from 1 to 2 and still take a quarterback. They could go from 1 to 3 and still take a quarterback. By no means do I think these quarterbacks are going 1-2. If that was an option on my sports betting app of Shedeur and Cam to not go top 2 picks, I would put an irresponsible amount of money on that to not happen. Mm-hmm. Just because I do think that one of these guys is liable to fall a little bit further than we think, and maybe not just because of the supply and demand of the quarterback position, but man, oh man, they are flawed prospects, and teams are all over the place some teams consider Cam Ward to be worthy of a number 1 overall pick. Some don't think he's a first round grade. I'm not sure.
Pro Football Focus has Shedeur Sanders at the 40th overall prospect.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, exactly. And I think there are some teams that are that way as well. Shedeur, I think there might be a team or two that views him as worthy of the first overall pick, and maybe that's the Titans. I think less probably think that than they think that about Cam. And I know that there are plenty of teams that are like, Shedeur, I would not touch him in the first 32 picks. I would not touch him in the first 50 picks. He is very polarizing in that way right now. So, yeah, I think it's at best 50-50 they take one of those quarterbacks. And then, like I said earlier, even if they do, in the 50% category where they do take one of those quarterbacks, I think even within that, there's about a 25% chance, or so I guess a 50% chance of that 50% chance that they take one and get a veteran. So the full pie chart here is, I think there's a 50% chance they do not draft a quarterback, they just sign a veteran. Mm-hmm. I think there's a 25% chance they take just a rookie and don't sign a veteran. And then the last 25% chance is they take one of both. And so that adds up in my head to about 75% chance.
And you're talking about like one of both, as in like one of these 5. And Jeff is like, who are the 5 quarterbacks again? I'm like, they're all right there. They're all right there, Jeff.
On the screen.
They're all right there on the screen. But the 5 quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, and Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I tweeted out like on November 30th or something as half a joke. No, it was later than that, like maybe December 15th or something, when it was clear the Titans were going to have a chance at the first overall pick. I tweeted, the vision has never been more clear. And it was a picture of Shedeur Sanders and Derek Carr. And that's still the vision I see in my head, is those two on the same team.
Okay. All right. So time out now. So you just went through all of these things of like, oh my gosh, like it could be like 75% this, 25% that, 50% that, or all that. So
did that track though? I tried to simplify it at the end. Okay.
It did. It made sense. We at some point we ate an entire pie together.
Okay.
So I'll ask this question.
What about you?
This is my follow-up.
More for me?
Follow-up.
Okay.
This is my follow-up to the follow-up. If you were to place actual money on one of these 5 quarterbacks to be a Tennessee Titan next year and potentially starting week 1, which of the 5 would it be? And you can do that after I tell you about our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever. Help is just one click away at bartdurham.com. Your big truck wreck is Bart Durham's fight for justice, and you can reach the Bart Durham team 24/7 to get your legal questions answered. Their phone number 615-242-9000. Attorneys are available to meet whenever is and wherever is most convenient to you, including virtually. And you can check out the website bartdurham.com for the contact and live chat features, but they also have current news and blogs as well to help you through different situations on the roadways, how to stay safe, how to avoid certain things, this and that. They've also got things way beyond just car accidents and big truck wrecks, but that is a great specialty for Bart Durham, who has been serving the Nashville and mid-state area and the entire state of Tennessee since 1975, with years of experience dealing with all those kinds of accidents, and formerly run by the man himself, Bart Durham, who passed away last April, and now taken over by his son, Blair, a Marine veteran and a great Nashvilleian, doing so many things in the community that we'll continue to talk about as we get deeper into the year, of all the different things that Blair Durham and the Bart Durham Injury Law team are involved with. So check them out when you need them, if you need them, bartdurham.com.
There's so much more to say, but first, make sure you have liked the show on Facebook, on YouTube. Hit that like button for us. Would appreciate that greatly. Now, Austin, your question,
like the
follow
show
up to me.
because King
Oh,
BC has a super chat.
what up, King? That's right. You got to like it now because he sent us money, so you must like
So
it by law.
my follow-up question to the follow-up question is, if you were to place US dollars on one of these 5 quarterbacks to be a Tennessee Titan this offseason to start the season next year, which of the 5 quarterbacks are you going to bet your money on between Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, and Sam Darnold?
Carr and Darnold are the only 2 that I would put any money on. I would put more money on what I would say the odds are longer for Darnold than they are Carr. So I think the most likely to me, I think the favorite in terms of likelihood of actually happening is Derek Carr to me. Part of this is the familiarity with the Titans. Part of this is what I think that he can be for them. I think that he is the perfect. I mean, guys, I get it. Derek Carr just bore you out of your mind sometimes. But what they need is that, frankly, they need a boring guy that is capable of operating an offense. Just freaking run my offense, man, was what you could see going through the mind of Brian Callahan on many Sundays last fall.
What are you doing?
Exactly. Sometimes it was not just on his mind. Sometimes it was on his mouth. But I do think that Louis says, you say Carr because of PK. Apparently, Paul also thinks Carr. Listen, I was on a 104.5 podcast in December and planted my flag on Carr being the next starting quarterback of the Titans. So I don't know when Paul said it, but I was on that corner before Paul. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, you guys both independently have the same opinion about Derek Carr and the Titans because we're literally doing this.
It's also a common concept that people have been
because it's a realistic option.
Correct. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns. Again, it's what I have thought for the past couple of months. It's what I'm going to continue to think just because of the familiarity and because of the Saints. It's complicated, and I'm not going to act like I have a full grasp on the situation. But what I do know is that the Saints cap situation is a living nightmare. Their money, they are for the 5th consecutive year going into the offseason where their books are supremely unbalanced, and they're going to have to do a lot of acrobatics to get under the allowable cap money number. It feels like every year they're like, oh, the Saints are $81 million over the cap. And then they whittle their way down with basically kicking the can down the road on all these old, aging, bad contracts and digging the hole further instead of just cutting guys. They have Spencer Rattler on the team. And from what I'm hearing, they like Spencer, despite what you saw at times this year. And there was some good, there was some bad from Spencer in his rookie year. From what I understand is they do like him at maybe not better in terms of starting right this minute than Carr, but in terms of trying to actually have a future direction for this team, which they have been rudderless for, again,
the Saints don't even have a head coach.
Right. Also true. Once they eventually hire a certain Eagles offensive coordinator in a couple weeks, or maybe next week once the Super Bowl is over.
Monday,
right.
whenever the Super Bowl parade is over in Philadelphia.
That deal that definitely isn't already being laid out as we speak.
Yeah.
Once that happens, they will start to figure out the quarterback situation, and they do like Rattler enough, I think, to at least consider finding some financial relief in moving on from Derek Carr, which they can do. And I think the Titans are in that running should they choose to do so. The other guy that I mentioned, I want to bring this up, is Sam Darnold. And we've been kind of all over the place on him because in season when he was balling, everybody's like, oh man, somebody's going to spend big on him. And then there was the whole debate of, well, maybe is somebody going to look foolish for spending big on him? Or is this real? And we talked about that. And then he kind of fell apart. Then he got to the end of the season before they started to fall apart. And everybody was like, man, he's so good. We can quit talking about who's going to pay him because there's no way the Vikings move on from this guy. He's just too good. And then he fell apart and everybody's like, never mind. Maybe he is going to be available and some team's going to spend too much money on him. And now, as we sit here, I do think I've talked to some friends that cover the Vikings and have a better feel on this than I do. I do think it is less likely than not. I think he is more likely to stay with the Vikings than he is to leave the Vikings. Slightly, maybe 60-40.
Yeah.
But the financial situation is interesting to me Because while I think more team unlike fans, teams are going to look at the totality of his season and not just focus on 2 really bad final games. So it's not like he cost himself, 30 million AVY in those last 2. No, it did not. It's not that violent of a swing. But when you look at the teams in terms of cap space, Austin, when you just pull up the rankings of available cap space next year, I'm not sure the Titans' competition for a Sam Darnold is as steep as people want to make it out to be. Because we're all thinking like, well, somebody's going to spend big, and it's going to be a big number that's driven up by the fact that there's so many teams that need a quarterback. And it's true. There are a lot of teams that need a quarterback right now. But let's just go through from the top down in terms of teams that have the Patriots. They have the most cap space right now, functional. And these are all set to change. But this is a good relative snapshot. Patriots have like $125 million of cap space. They don't need a quarterback. Raiders are number 2. They do. And so they may draft one. They may sign one. I think that they are firmly in the Darnold running. I think that Darnold, if I had to pick a favorite landing spot in terms of betting odds right now for Darnold to play next year, it's probably the Vegas Raiders. Washington, no. Chicago, no. Chargers, no. Cardinals, probably not. Vikings, this is the team we're talking about. Detroit, no. Tennessee at 9. Yes, I think they're firmly in the competition there. Giants also firmly in the competition there, but they also are in range for a quarterback, and we know how much they have openly fallen in love with Shedeur Sanders, apparently. So if I had to pick a team most likely to come away with a quarterback, whether smart or not, I personally would say the Giants are probably going to come away with drafting a quarterback this year, just because they doesn't that just feel like what they're all in on drafting a guy? Well, yeah, because of the Jones contract that they're eating. Yeah, Bengals, no. Niners, no. Steelers, maybe, but they've got a whole situation. Packers, no. Broncos, no. Rams, probably not, unless the Stafford thing happens. Jacksonville, no. Philadelphia, no. Indianapolis, But now we're into the range of teams that have like $25 million in cap space, and it's like I'm not sure you can afford that contract, or you can justify. You can afford maybe just that contract, but are you willing to do that and then spend nothing else in free agency? I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Vegas, Tennessee, and the Giants, a lot like in the actual draft, competing for a drafted quarterback. I think that they're really the only 3 main players in the competition for the Darnold types.
In the Vikings.
Yes, but yes. But they're a team that I'm talking about teams that don't have a quarterback available to them, because the whole thing about the Vikings is they have a guy
available if they want. They have
they have a first rounder that they would like to start at some point. So I don't know. I just find that interesting. All
right. To kind of pull it all back full circle, I do agree. Derek Carr seems to be like the most likely option to happen here. I also think there's somebody in the chat earlier said that Derek Carr has more than one connection. He's got connections in the front office, right? Because Ziegler is the assistant GM who was in New Orleans last year and was also with the Raiders before that. So, you got something else to add to that?
Nick Suss he tweeted this, and it's Nick Suss tweeted a list of every Titans employee that has connections to the Raiders, and it's a shockingly long list.
Well, I know like Nick Holtz is one.
Yep. You can keep guessing while I find this list. Here we go. Titans brass who have at one point worked for the Raiders.
Yeah, define brass. Is it like just coaching staff?
Well, I'm about to name all the titles, so you're about to find out.
Yeah.
Head coach Brian Callahan, offensive coordinator Nick Holtz, quarterback coach Bo Hardegree, offensive line coach Bill Callahan, running back coach Randy Jordan, defensive run game coordinator Travis Smith, special teams coordinator John Fossil, assistant to the head coach Tom Smith, assistant GM Dave Ziegler, VP and football advisor Reggie McKenzie. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And how many of those? And how many of those cross over with Derek Carr's time with the Raiders? Everybody
does. Holtz does. Hardegree does. Not Bill.
Everybody but Bill Callahan.
Bill just missed out on the Derek Carr years. Randy Jordan, I'm assuming so. Travis Jones or wait, it's not Travis.
Travis Smith.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Travis Smith. He literally got.
Wait, no, sorry, but he corrected it. It was Tom Jones, not Travis Smith, that was connected to this. So Tom Jones is who we're talking about. I think so. John Fossil, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure about that. Maybe. Ziegler, yes. And McKenzie. Ziegler and McKenzie both, right? Yeah.
Were his general manager. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of
Fossil, maybe not, because he was 08 to 11, so he was not Derek Carr.
I think a lot of non-player employees of the Titans have Derek Carr's phone number saved in their phone.
For sure.
So
I think the three that did not have Derek Carr were, I got to look up Randy Jordan, but because Derek Carr Bill, Fossil, and
Smith.
Tom Smith. Well, what wasn't he with Callahan though?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know a ton about Tom Smith. I just know who he is.
That's all you know. Well,
Okay.
and Randy Jordan, was he a coach for the Raiders or did he
play?
He played for the Raiders, so he did not. He coached for the Raiders in 03. So there you go. It's those three. Fossil, Bill Callahan, and Randy Jordan don't have a Derek Carr connection. So there's like six guys that do it.
Yeah.
Including two of his former general managers and
the head coach.
The current head coach, who was his former quarterback coach, and Bo Hardigree. What was Bo Hardigree's role with the Raiders? Was he quarterback coach as well?
I don't know. He was. That's where they hired him from. Yeah, he was the QB coach.
And Nick Holtz was some type of
offensive
assistant, pass game coordinator. So Derek Carr,
current head coach, current offensive coordinator, current quarterback coach, former quarterback coach, and 2 GMs.
Yeah, lock it up.
They know the guy.
Lock it up. So there you go. All right, let's get to one more super chat. Genoa Smith, which sounds like a combination between my favorite Girl Scout cookie and Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith.
That's Geno Smith when he goes on a tropical vacation.
Yeah, right. All right, let's get to some trivia. Easton, are you ready for trivia? Haven't done in a while. You got like 25 seconds. Here we go. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process. Go see him in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Shout out to Payne Bone, who runs the show out there in Lebanon. He'll save you some money on the new ride. So wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Easton, have you saved yourself yet?
I have procured the trivia.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Let's do it. It's been a while since we've done trivia with the crazy schedule.
Oh, I gotta shake off the rust here. See if we can have a strong day. No baseball on here. Good start.
Thank goodness. We do have hockey, which is a different type of doozy.
Frankly, I'll take over the baseball, but still not great.
All right, so we'll start at NFL, and then we'll go counterclockwise down geography and around we go and finish with NBA and then celebrity mashup. So
chat, lock in. We need your help.
All right,
ready?
NFL.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
What former Heisman winner won Super Bowl MVP during the 1990s?
Oh, no. My brain. Let's go.
90s MVP.
Heisman winner, 90s MVP.
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I know. Who won the
I mean, this is literally before I was
let's
born.
Think of Desmond Howard.
Was he a Super Bowl MVP?
Yes.
Okay.
Good
I wouldn't have been able to tell you that.
By Nick.
Would not have been able to tell you that. Geography. In 1791, this Eastern time zone state became the 14th U.S. state and the first to join the Union after the original 13 colonies.
Oh, no.
I used to know this. First non-original colony state.
Eastern time zone.
Well, we know that, obviously.
Luis's Texas.
Not Texas. No.
God, you're such a troll. Vermont.
That's where I was thinking either Vermont or New Hampshire. Which one was it? Was New Hampshire an original colony?
Feels like it. With a New Hampshire, yes. I would think
so Vermont sounds right. Okay, cool.
All right, good job.
In the 2010s, what WWE legend hosted reality competition shows like Redneck Island and the Broken Skull Challenge? Not a wrestling fan.
No. The good thing is the chat is guaranteed to be a collective wrestling fan.
Come on, guys. I mean, like legend. I'm thinking
Redneck Island,
Stone Cold,
Broken Skull,
Randy Macho. It's people say Stone Cold.
Stone Cold.
Right. Stony Cold.
Steve Austin. It would
have
to be your guess there.
They should have Stone Cold in there. Dadgummit. A quadriplegic ex-homicide detective and his partner try to track down a serial killer who is terrorizing New York City in this 1999 film starring Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie.
Oh my God.
These are all older topics.
It's a quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic ex-homicide.
I mean,
so
who pitched that plot? Like, good.
That's a crazy board meeting.
The Bone Collector.
Wheels? It's called,
No.
But Wheels would be a better title for it. Music. After gaining recognition for his 2019 song Valentino, this artist had a major #1 hit with his 2020 song Mood featuring Ian Dior. These aren't real names. I've never heard of these songs. What is happening to my screen? Oh, okay. Valentino
crazy
and Mood. Is this a Mexican artist?
I don't know.
Ian Dior. Who is that?
The chat's still caught up on Bone Collector. 24 Golden, says Ryan Fields.
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly was in jail probably at this time.
Can never hear Easton's mumbling. Am I not being clear? After gaining recognition for his 2019
24
song,
Golden.
Valentino.
24 Golden.
24 karat. Okay. I've never heard of that in my life.
24K Golden. Yeah, wait. Go back. You saw it. Yeah, that one. That's
sure, man. Okay, cool.
Get that Toyota-thon out of here.
Do you see an X on there? I don't see an X.
No, I don't. Yeah.
From 2000 to 2006, Heinz produced this brand of colorful ketchup in squeezable bottles, which came in varieties like funky purple and blasting green. What were they called? I used to have these probably cancerous toppings. What did they call them?
I just thought it was purple ketchup.
Yeah, I know, but the name's on the tip of my tongue.
Like, what's the question here?
What the name of the type of
this brand ketchup?
No, we know it's Heinz.
Squeezables.
That's what it was.
But it's squeezable is in the title. Easy Squirt. No, that's the cap. That's the cap technology. Is Easy
Called
Squirt.
Snot. Easy. Why does it keep this? I think it's this. Yeah. NHL in 2023, the Kings traded longtime goaltender Jonathan Quick to the Blue Jackets, and a day later, Columbus traded him to this Western Conference team.
Jonathan Quick. Jack be humble, Jonathan be quick.
That's right. I am only marginally more a fan of the NHL than I am baseball.
This is a tough trivia.
It's a relatively recent thing, and I know who Jonathan Quick is, but I'm not sure what team he's on.
Kings sounds right, but like he went, but they can't. I only knew him as a King. We're getting the Ducks, Las Vegas, maybe. I
think it's Kings.
No, he can't. The Kings trade him. Then the next day, so Vegas.
Yeah. No, never mind.
Vegas Golden Knights. Okay. Coming from the Orlando and Matt Vegas.
Sure. NBA. Averaging over 15 points per game, Kendrick Nunn finished runner-up for the 2020 NBA Rookie of the Year while playing for this Eastern Conference team.
I've never heard of Kendrick Nunn.
Another player I know, but I'm not sure who he plays for.
Kendrick
2020
Nunn?
Rookie
That
of
is
the
not
Year.
a real person.
No, I remember him coming out.
In the NBA?
Uh-huh.
The Nets?
He had a really good year.
The Heat?
I just don't... Was it the Pacers? Might have been Pacers. But I don't trust Louis at all. So anybody else? Oh, Heat? Okay.
Bulls. We're getting Bulls, Heat, Pacers, Nets. But I think Heat is where we're going to go. Miami.
Sure. We'll go Heat. That sounds correct to me. Cool. That's James Corden and
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
You're going to have to get LL Bean out of here to be able to select this.
Well, I mean... Freaking Toyota, go away. We literally have to zoom out to be able to answer.
Yeah, that's fine. We know the answers. So James Corden and Vince Vaughn. So we can, man, of all the easiest freaking mashup
extremely easy mashup. The dozen needs to fix whatever this is. This is not acceptable.
Very unacceptable.
You can't play the game. What are we doing out here? Toyota, get lost.
They're making money, is what they're doing. All right, that is it for us.
Not if we quit clicking.
Yeah, we're gonna keep playing trivia. We'll
We
play it again
are.
tomorrow. Yeah.
If I did it as a for funsies, I'd find a different trivia because that's it's unplayable.
Yeah. 6 minutes is horrible, but we were 9 for 9.
Would you rather go 629 for 9 or like 420 and you miss one? There's something about taking your time but being perfect that is better to me.
Yeah, and Christoffel says, where's your ad block at? Bro, we are a part of a media company that makes money off of ads. We would not be sabotaging ourselves by having an ad blocker. If you go to A2Zsports.com, do not have an ad blocker. Come on, people. Ridiculous. All right, that's it for us. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show, subscribe to the channel, do all the good things, 5-star Google review, and we'll be back here on a Thursday talking D-Hop. We got D-Hop saying some things about the Titans and another Super Bowl Titans conversation here tomorrow morning with Sam and I. Sam will actually be live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime, flipping days with Buck. So catch that later on, and more content on the website, A2Zsports.com/Titans. Don't use your ad blocker, and we'll catch you guys later on. Appreciate it as always.